How's it going, everyone? This is Jack here with the Commander's Wire, and welcome back to another video. We don't have one main thing we're going to talk about today. We do have a couple supplementary topics that we're going to go over. However, I thought it'd be fitting to make one video about these multiple things. If you haven't already, please go down below, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to know when I post next. Really helps me out and lets me know that you guys want more content just like this regarding the Washington Commanders for the 2026 season and beyond. So now, to start out, the Washington Commanders have hired new offensive line coach as well as a new assistant offensive line coach. They have promoted Darnell Stapleton, who used to be the assistant offensive line coach, to become the main offensive line coach, as well as hired Shane Toub. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. It's T-O-U-B. Shane Toub to be the new assistant offensive line coach. Obviously, these are not household names that everyone knows around the league, so I wouldn't consider these a home run type of hire. However, the offensive line really isn't a room that I feel like needs a lot of work. I think that they were one of the better rooms of the offense this past season, as well as one of the better rooms on the entire team. So I think that these hires, even though they don't make a big difference, they don't really need to. They just need to continue on what they were doing last year. Josh Connerly Jr., even though he wasn't great, he definitely progressed as the season went on, having Leonard Tunsil there at left tackle, Sam Cosmi at right guard, and, Biotish is going to be a free agent soon. However, he is more than capable of being this team's starting center. If the Commanders want to look at free agent acquisition like Tyler Linderbaum of the Ravens, that could be a possibility. However, I know a lot of teams will be looking at him, or they could be looking for a potential replacement in the draft in the later rounds. I know there's a center coming out of Auburn as well as Iowa. I forget their names. However, they're pretty solid prospects and definitely would be a steal in the later rounds. Because of that, I don't think that these hires really aren't, they're not that bad. Darnell Stapleton has been with the Commanders over the past couple years as the assistant offensive line coach, so he definitely has a better connection with these guys in the room, and he's not going to be coming in and changing everything up at the start of the season. So I think that even though these hires aren't home runs, you could say, I feel like they are pretty solid. For some context, both Darnell Stapleton and I believe Shane Toum are going to be coaching in the college games where all the potential draft picks come and play together, like the East-West Shrine Bowl. I believe both of these offensive line coaches are going to be coaching in one of the 4 or 5 games that are going to be going on within the next month before the NFL draft process begins. So take that with a grain of salt. These guys aren't at the top of the league when it comes to offensive line development. However, they're good enough to coach the 2026 draft prospects for the offensive line in this year's NFL draft. So for some more context, Stapleton has worked closely with new offensive coordinator David Blau and has been a part of the Washington game planning and protection plans for the past 2 years, which is definitely very solid because then he's been working with this room for the last couple of years. This is not a new face with the Washington Commanders. There's some continuity that he brings to the table being the new offensive line coach. Before that, he was on the University of Florida coaching staff after playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers for, I think, 2 years. He was an undrafted free agent coming out of Rutgers, from what I understand. And I believe he was on the Super Bowl winning Pittsburgh Steelers back in, 2008, 2009. So obviously he was not in the league for very long. However, same thing with David Blau. Sometimes the best coaches are not the best players. They bring the mental side of the game to the NFL. However, they may not always bring the best physical side of the game. So regardless of his history in the NFL as a player, I think that Darnell Stapleton is going to be doing just fine as the offensive line coach. I think that this offensive line is pretty solid as it is. It's arguably a top 10 offensive line in the National Football League, regardless of what our record said last year. I think this is I'm not going to say it's a home run hire. However, I think this is a good hire. It allows the Commanders to bring in some new faces as well as continue some continuity on the offensive side of the ball to get better for the 2026 season. Next up, some more breaking news. The Commanders have been rumored to get new uniforms for the 2026 season. Obviously, this past season we got the not all white, but the white Super Bowl era jerseys, which I think they look very cool. I was a big fan of watching them being worn on the field during games. However, I was not a fan of how the game was played, but that's besides the point. From what I saw on X, the NFL likes to call them new uniforms. However, new is a very loose term. Sometimes the new could be a slight alteration to an existing uniform, whether it's changing up the color on like the face mask. It could be as simple as that, and they would just call it new. But the NFL takes that very seriously. They want they want to be very transparent with how jerseys and the entire uniform is put out on the field every year. So even though we don't know exactly what's coming for the Washington Commanders in 2026 with our jerseys, we will be looking for something new. Could it be the old spear logo? I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that really dark maroon color. I think that would look pretty good. However, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. I just believe it may just be a slight alteration to a helmet, or adding a new type of helmet or jersey, something small. Maybe we'll be adding a red jersey to the Super Bowl era uniform, and I think that would look pretty cool, having the all burgundy option that the Commanders want to run. I think that would look really sick. Maybe they are bringing back the spear logo. Obviously, we had some media day pictures with Jaden Daniels in that really cool backdrop holding the spear, so that could definitely be a possibility. I'd be a very big fan of that. However, like I said before, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. And we'll just have to see closer to the next NFL season and to see what they want to do with the jerseys. And lastly for today, just some more updates regarding our defensive coordinator search. First of all, Jeff Ulbrich, obviously you've probably already seen. He was retained in Atlanta. I think I may have already gone over this in another video, but he was retained in Atlanta with Kevin Stefanski as the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. So unfortunately, we cannot be looking forward to him joining the Washington Commanders anymore. However, at least as one door closes, we have other doors to look through. And on top of that, Brian Flores is currently interviewing for the head coaching job for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So my money currently is that he will not be unemployed after he finishes that interview. I think that he will become the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, there's still a chance that he could come to the Washington Commanders as the defensive coordinator. He does have a lot of drama going on, if you don't know. He does have a court case open with the NFL with, I forget exactly what it is, some ethical things that are going on. I'm not really too educated on the topic. That's one main reason that he has not been getting much head coaching buzz and opportunities over the last couple years. Now, I believe that it has cooled off a little bit, and that's why he is gaining some more popularity again. We all know that he is an amazing defensive coordinator, so the talent and the knowledge he brings is all there regardless. However, it's the type of character and the reputation that he brings to the table that I think a lot of teams are worried about. So we will just have to see if he gets that job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. My money is he does land that job and he becomes the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach for the 2026 season. However, if that doesn't happen, I could see a chance where Dan Quinn and Adam Peters want to bring him in to the Washington Commanders and make him this team's new defensive coordinator. So let me know down below. First off, what are your guys' thoughts on these new offensive line coaches? I think that they're pretty good. I'm not saying they're, the greatest thing in the world. However, I have an overall positive outlook on those hires. And also, let me know what type of jerseys you guys want to see. Do you guys want to see, more of the retro look, having the red and gold, or maybe even just having a red Super Bowl era jersey to pair with the already Super Bowl era helmets and pants? Or would you guys want to see something completely different? Like I said, the spear logo would be pretty cool. Putting that on the side of the helmets, I think that would look really sick. So just let me know down below. I appreciate you guys watching till the very end. If you haven't already, please go down below, like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to know when I post next. And just to let me know if you guys want more content and news, rumors, and other things regarding the Washington Commanders. God bless and hail to the Commanders.